Howdy, folks. So, this one, I got the prompt, and for Gregor, what if Gregor was the epitome of knighthood? And I went, okay, well, I keep seeing this everywhere. Might as well give it a try. And there's some interesting things that came of it. But once, at a certain point, I was like, I have no idea where to take it. They're kind of stuck. And yeah, it kind of it shows a little bit. It's fun, but it's lacking in a number of things. It's just kind of a fun romp. We'll keep going into things later, but right now let's just kind of talk about this one because it's kind of an absurd concept, and really it just kind of affects Gregor's kind of gets sidelined because he's just not an important character at a certain point. And because of that, certain things get put to the wayside. But there's some good stuff there's some stuff I'm proud of, but I think I could have done a better job with the ending and justifying a few things better. Anyway, let's get going.
Gregor walks into the room to find his little brother, Sandor, playing with a wooden knight. Chuckling, he sits next to the other boy and holds up a toy of a dragon.
Come on, little brother. What's a knight without a dragon to fight? Let's give that knight a worthy foe.
The two brothers spend the evening playing knights and dragons, and at the end of the night, Sandor hugs his brother.
Thank you, Gregor. You're my best friend.
The bigger boy smiles and hugs the smaller boy back. Over the next few years, both Gregor and Sandor become two of the most impressive warriors in the realm due to their size. Bandits and outlaws soon learn to fear the sight of the Clegane brothers and their men. Soon enough, Gregor is dubbed a knight by no less than Rhaegar Targaryen, and no one cheers louder than Sandor. When Gregor rises, he clasps hands with his brother.
I wonder what I'll have to do to get my spurs. You'll get them, little brother, and I'll be there when you do.
Soon after Gregor is knighted, Robert's rebellion.
Yeah, first off, yes. I am perfectly aware that Sandor Clegane would only be 13. I fudged it. That was a mistake on my part. But I'm just kind of like going, no, I kind of want these two being a buddy cop duo. Because so yeah, I fudged it in order to get it. So, but I did want to have that pivotal moment where rather than putting his face to the fire, Gregor actually plays around with his brother. So that was my thought, at least. Anyway, let's get going.
Breaks out. Gregor is shocked to hear that the perfect prince who had knighted him had done something so dishonorable as abduct a lady who had already been betrothed. Both he and Sandor expected to be called to battle for one side or the other, but instead Tywin doesn't make any moves.
I hate all this waiting. I do too. Come on, let's go. Where? What else do knights do? We're going to save a lady from a dragon.
As the war rages in the Stormlands, the Clegane brothers ride across the Seven Kingdoms, searching for Rhaegar and Lyanna. Eventually, the two of them, along with a few guards, find the Tower of Joy, where three Kingsguard are standing watch. Soon enough, the prince emerges and rides off, leaving the men alone.
What do you think? We can't climb up the tower, so we'll have to fight our way through to get to the lady out. You're seriously going to fight Geralt Hightower, Oswald Wentz, and Arthur fucking Dane? Yes, I am. Well, glad we've established you're a bloody madman, so you're staying behind. 7 hours? No. Just stating facts. The Clegane brothers and their men ride up to the tower, holding their weapons ready. The Kingsguard look around the assembled men, including the gigantic knights. Who in 7 hells are you lot? Why are you here? We're here to ensure the safety of Lyanna Stark, a woman who was abducted by Prince Rhaegar.
She wasn't abducted. She came willingly.
Then you won't have any objection if I ask the lady myself.
You still haven't answered. Who are you?
We're the Clegane brothers, and we're here to make sure the lady is brought back to her family, regardless of the consequences.
Why?
Because knights do not abduct women and girls and hold them prisoner. If we can bring her back to her betrothed, this war can end.
The war will not end just because Lady Stark is returned.
Why?
Because Aerys Targaryen is mad. But if Rhaegar wins, then the realm can hope to repair itself.
A man steals the betrothed of a respected lord, willing or unwillingly.
I thought the Kingsguard were better than common bandits.
Careful, sir.
Why?
It's just a fact. Is there a bargain we can strike that can satisfy all our respective oaths?
Yes, you leave and keep your mouth shut.
That would not satisfy our oaths. But what if we were to send a maester or a healer to make sure the girl is well taken care of?
The Kingsguard deliberate, then agree to the deal on the condition that they are blindfolded on the approach. Gregor and Sandor quickly ride off to find a healer who can take care of Lyanna, then ride north to the keep. However, in the distance, they see
Yeah, so it's kind of comical, really. And yeah, it ends up being that it's kind of comical that it's a kind of resolved kind of quickly, but and maybe that was a bit of a problem on my part. But I did kind of like the idea that he actually is just like, hey, we just want to go off, save a lady from a dragon. I'm very proud of that line, actually. But as we see, one of the things that we do is just make the Kingsguard, and admittedly, the Kingsguard do disappear from the story, and I forgot to add them in. I apologize. That was bad. That was a mistake. And now we kind of get into kind of the meat of things. This was kind of the scene that I was thinking of when I was writing the series, and after that, I was like, I have no idea where to take this. So
golden lion banners riding toward King's Landing, hoping that they were going to help with the ending of the war. The Clegane brothers join the army. However, once they find out exactly what Tywin wants them to do, their hope shrivels and dies. As soon as they're out of Tywin's command tent, both of them express their displeasure.
This is not what we were trained to do. Agreed. We weren't trained to murder innocent women and children. So what do we do?
Gregor thinks of a plan, but he can't quite figure it out.
I don't know what we should do, but I know we can't allow these children to die.
Yeah, so with that one, that is a same frame. Funny. So with that one, that was actually a reference to Hunchback of Notre Dame, specifically when Phoebus takes out the is ordered to kill or burn down the mill with the family inside. And I felt like it was effective where you don't need to see Tywin tell them to do it. All you need to do is say that they are disgusted by it. And then you just say, hey, we're not going to let those kids live. So I felt like that was effective. And all we needed to see was kind of them being good guys. And then right after that, we see that Tywin is going to tell them to do something bad. So
Gates open, and Tywin unleashes his men on the city, causing Gregor and Sandor to further question the men they're serving. The two men do their best to mitigate the slaughter, but they're only two men with a few guards against a huge army. Finally, they have to carry out the orders that they were set and head to Maegor's holdfast. Swords still bloody from the fighting, they separate to find Rhaegar's family. Sandor finds little Rhaenys first, the small girl huddling underneath her bed, holding a black tomcat close to her.
Hello, little one. Come with me.
Who are you?
I'm just a dog, here to get you out before somebody worse than me comes calling here.
I want my father.
Sandor growls, his temper rapidly diminishing as he tries to think of an option to get out of the situation.
Come on, little girl. We need to leave or else someone is going to kill you.
Where's my father?
Sandor takes a long, deep breath.
How about this? We're going to play a game. You pretend to be dead, and I carry you out to your mother.
Rhaenys considers, then nods. Thinking quickly, Sandor grabs a red cloak, smears it with blood on his sword to make it look like she's dead before running out of the room. Meanwhile, Gregor breaks.
yeah, so with this one, yeah, he's probably a little bit smarter than he should be. But functionally, I just wanted to kind of echo a little bit of what happened with Sansa here, and have him be somewhat competent and figure out, okay, they think they're dead, we can just get them out. So they get the people, so they get Rhaenys out, and they get Elia out.
Up in the door to Princess Elia's chamber to find her huddling with her son in her arms.
Who are you?
We don't have time to talk. Lannister are coming for you. I need to get you and the boy out of the city.
What? Why?
That's the second time I've been asked that within weeks. But it's because I'm a knight, and knights do not leave women and children to die.
Elia looks up at the huge man, holding her son close. She doesn't have much choice, so she nods.
What's your plan?
How fond are you of that dress?
Only somewhat.
With that permission, Gregor wipes blood off his sword and dabs it on Elia's dress, then does the same with Aegon. Making sure to be gentle, Gregor slings Elia over his shoulder and puts Aegon in the crook of his arm after giving him a toy to pacify him. Using their large size and their fake blanket-wrapped corpses as a way to get through the gates, Gregor and Sandor walk brazenly out, then find an abandoned house and quickly change Elia and the children into ragged, blood-stained clothes as a pair of dead city folk. Once they're changed, Gregor and Sandor put them with some bodies and escort them out in the city cart. Once they're out of the city, they ride hard toward Darn. When Tywin discovers that Rhaegar's family has been rescued, he becomes furious. Now he has no bargaining power, only a...
Yeah, so with this one, I did want to put in a little joke of Gregor being frustrated, where he's like, "Why do you keep asking me? Is being a good man so foreign that you think that I'm an animal?" For further kind of highlighting the little bit of the absurdity of the premise, but also kind of laying into the fact that this guy's a good person now, rather than the psychotic animal that we see in the original. One other mistake that I made, and I will fully cop to this, is that I forgot about the mountains headaches. I actually kind of just removed them because I was like, okay, these are the main things that are causing his problems. And so I just kind of removed them. And that was probably a mistake. I probably could have done more and had some more like almost darkly comedic stuff where he's destroying stuff. But the main thing is that the funny thing about the mountain being the epitome of knighthood is that if he is behaving as a good person, it's not really himself that is affected. It is more the people that he affected in his previous life. And since the people he affected most in his previous life, especially early on in the story, were Elia and her kids, that has a lot of ramifications. But I don't think that I did the best job of illustrating that. We'll get to that later. I feel, yeah, this was fun to write, but there's a lot of objective writing flaws here, sadly. So, and I totally copped to all of them. They were my fault. But yeah, there's some good scenes in here, but I think that the overall ending was like, I just have no idea what to do with this. In contrast to the other theories that I've done, where I was pretty sure there's a few that I was like, I don't know what to do here. And unfortunately, this was one of the ones where I said, I don't know what to do here. Anyway, let's keep going.
Back to city.
And you said the Clegane brothers left with a pair of bodies? Yes, my lord. They were carrying bodies covered in blankets. We didn't think to check since they had blood on the cloaks. We have to find the Targaryens and bring them back here. If we don't, then we won't have a place in Robert's new kingdom.
Father, is there something we can offer them instead?
And what is that?
The Mad King intended to burn the city with wildfire. We can say that I was alerted to the presence of the wildfire and you came to save the city.
Good work. Well done, Jamie.
Didn't do it for you. I'm doing it for them. I promised Rhaegar I'd keep them safe.
You do realize that with them on the loose, the realm will bleed.
I don't care.
You're not going to hurt them, Father. If you do, I'll join the Night's Watch. What? You heard me.
No, once
Yeah, so this one,
Robert arrives and we tell him about the wildfire. I'm leaving for Dorne. You'll never see me again.
Insubordinate. Fine. Go. If you have no further ambition than to be a glorified bodyguard, be my guest.
When Robert and Ned arrive,
yeah, so with that one, I was saying, okay, Tywin now is, yeah, he had sacked the city and taken it, but the problem is he has no bargaining power. He has not made it so that the heirs to the throne are removed. So that does create a problem. And Jamie telling him about the wildfire in order to make it so that they're saying, hey, they wanted to save it, that does solve a lot of problems politically and would endear Tywin. It's actually funny. I don't know when George came up with that idea of the wildfire. Because it's not, because if he did tell Tywin and he told Robert, that would be an effective way of continuing to build ties with the crown. I also wanted to have Jamie honor his promise to protect Rhaegar's family and say, hey, I'm going to do this and you're not going to hunt them down. And Tywin saying, if you have no further ambition, be my guest. Mainly because that's a nice little echo of what he said to Jamie in Storm of Swords and season 4 of the TV show.
Capital. Tywin presents the story of the wildfire caches and the Mad King's plans, corroborated by Jamie. When they find the evidence, Robert and Ned admit he's done a great service to the realm and name both saviors of the city, though Ned has some reservations. Tywin attempts to argue for his daughter Cersei for the queen, but Robert refuses until they are sure that Lyanna is dead. Once Robert is confirmed as king, Ned rides south to lift the siege of Storm's End. Ahead of Ned, Gregor and Sandor escort Elia and the children down south, making a stop at the Tower of Joy. When they arrive, the group find the 3 Kingsguards still waiting.
I thought we told you not to come back here to gain.
These men are with me, Sir Arthur. As Rhaegar Targaryen's wife, I command you 3 to stand down and release Lyanna to Stark to me.
Princess, I'm sorry.
If not for the intervention of these 2 men, I and my children would have been dead while you were here.
We're sorry, Princess. We were only following the prince's orders.
I know, which is why you should not be hanged as common bandits. If you wish to clean your shame, then you will help this girl back to her family. But her child will come with me for his own protection. We can claim that he died.
The Kingsguard accept this, and soon Lyanna is taken towards King's Landing to be returned to her brother, while Elia and all the children go to Sunspear. When they arrive, Doran and Oberyn welcome Elia, her children, and the Clegane brothers with open arms.
What you have done cannot be repaid with words or even gold, sirs. Name what you would of me, and if it is within my power, I will grant it. After Lord Tywin finds out we betrayed him, we'll be outlaws, likely killed. We need someone to stay. We need a cause to fight for. Done. If Elia will accept you both as her guards, I will give you a place here at Dorne.
I can't think of anybody I'd rather have protecting me than these 2. I have the utmost confidence in them.
In that case, it's settled. Welcome to Dorne, my friends. Now, there is another matter to discuss. We need to get the Targaryens on Dragonstone away from Robert. If we have them, we have a play to secure Dorne's future.
As they've proven trustworthy.
Yeah, so this one, we just have okay, that's the best way of avoiding a problem is just to make it so that the Kingsguard leave, escort Lyanna away, they take the baby away, and then they go to Dorne. This is the point where I was like, I am just kind of going to make up stuff. The only other thing that I'm proud of in this is an upcoming scene with Jamie and Elia. That's one of the major ones I'm fairly proud of. But the rest of it after this point, I was like, okay, now that they're in Dorne, they're pretty much stuck there because Tywin knows what they did. So they're kind of stuck playing babysitter. And it's just like, and the only thing they can really do is go to Dragonstone and rescue the kids. That's the main thing. So it was just kind of I have written myself into a corner via my own logic. Oh dear. And it was just kind of all right, time to make up some stuff and figure out if someone's sci-fi.
Gregor and Sander sail up to Dragonstone and bring the Targaryens on Dragonstone back to Dorne ahead of Stannis Baratheon's fleet. When Robert finds out that someone spirited away the Targaryens, his fury knows no bounds.
Someone is helping the Targaryens, and so long as they're loose, my throne is unstable. I want them found and brought to me. Lord Tywin, I entrust this task to you.
As if to punctuate, Lyanna and Ned walk in, causing Robert to smile.
Yes, Lyanna, welcome home. Sorry, Lord Tywin. It seems I won't be accepting your marriage proposal. Quite all right, Your Grace. I will, however, accept hand of the king, but John Arryn should be able to serve as Master of Laws. We'll discuss this later. We need to speak to my...
Robert, I don't want to marry you. You're too much of a drunk, and I don't believe you'll be faithful to me. So for that reason, I want the betrothal to end.
Robert blinks and stares at her. Tywin conceals his smile behind a raised hand.
What?
I'm sorry, but I'm leaving the Seven Kingdoms. I don't want to stay here.
Well, if that is your wish, I won't stop you. Well then, Lord Tywin, it appears as though you will get your wish.
Ned gives his friend an apologetic look.
Yeah, so here, Lyanna Stark is a frustrating character in a lot of ways. Nobody really knows what happened. We don't know if it was consensual. We don't know if it was unconsensual. But it kind of seems as though it was fairly consensual, and there's some clues inside of Ned's head that like the fact that he doesn't, let's kind of set aside the fact that him not thinking about Rhaegar Targaryen in years is asinine, because he's inextricably linked with his sister, and that's just really, really frustrating. A lot of things that George does, sadly, is very, very frustrating. Like his constant mystery boxing of stuff, because he just wants to leave things open and doesn't know hasn't figured out where to go with it. And sometimes he has really, really unsatisfying answers, like the castle all being sent by freaking Joffrey. That one's so, I hate that one. But with this, it's very much just, yeah, Lyanna's not a good person. And so, the problem is, yeah, she comes off like this, but that's just kind of how she's written. She's a hypocrite, is a big problem. And I totally understood and why Order of the Green Hand, rest in peace, hate her, and hate R plus L equals J. Because yeah, she is not a good person.
Then ushers Lyanna out to a ship. A Dornish vessel picks Lyanna up and spirits her to Dorne. Once there, Elia welcomes her and reunites her with Jaehaerys, her newborn son. Lyanna is overjoyed to have her son back, cradling him like a lost treasure.
Your family, Lyanna, but your son's claim cannot be before Aegon's. I hope that is understood between us.
Of course, Jaehaerys will not go against your son. It was never Rhaegar's intention to rob him of his birthright.
Good. Then welcome to Dorne. We will keep your presence here secret, and soon we will have our justice on the old lion.
Despite Tywin's attempts to find the Targaryens, he's met with no success in the Free Cities or anywhere else in Essos. And when he goes to Dorne, he's unable to find it.
Yeah, with this, I think Lyanna would at least respect Elia and say, no, I'm not going to fight it, since didn't seem like it was the point of them running off. It was just, let's have another kid. And I think that Elia would be relatively welcoming, especially since Lyanna just doesn't want to go back, and she would kind of be seen as private. So this, and we do have the bit where Tywin is searching. Probably could have done more with that, but I was like, not really interested in covering that. But you live and you learn anyway.
There. Though, when he does go, the cool courtesy gives him a rather uneasy feeling. Without solid proof that he killed Elia and his position as the savior of King's Landing, the Martells do not have any justification for hostility, and having the hand of the king disappear would spark a war. Up in Winterfell, Ned Stark and Catelyn watch Robb grow up. There's no tension between them, no shadow, only slowly growing love and respect. Ned still has a sadness about him for the loss of his sister and father and brother, but Catelyn is about to provide him some comfort in his darkness. In Sunspear, Jaime Lannister arrives and kneels before Dorne, offering his sword. He's been searching all across the Seven Kingdoms trying to find the Targaryens, only to be met with no success. Now he's left with no other option.
I wish to serve the house I swore to serve. If you have any knowledge of where Elia and her children are, I would ask for you to tell me. You're asking this as a man who killed his own king. It was either a mad king burning an entire city along with himself, or one dead king and a few pyromancers. I decided to save the city for a madman. You speak well, Sir Jaime, and you do yourself credit, but how do we know this isn't some ploy from your father? This is the only place that would be able to hide Princess Elia and her children. Dorne did it with the old toad during the time of Aegon the Conqueror. Why can't you do the same for Elia? Smart deduction, but I'm very sorry. Your search has been in vain.
Jaime's face falls, and he turns around toward the door, shoulders slumped in genuine flexion.
Then my search continues. I need to find them. I promised.
Wait.
Jaime turns to see Princess Elia emerging from a hidden room. Immediately, he kneels and lays his sword at her feet.
Princess, I have no right to ask this, but may I pledge myself to the future king?
Doran, Oberyn, if this man had not killed Aerys, I would have died in the pyre of King's Landing, even if his father is more snake than man. I know Sir Jaime to be a true knight. Gladly, I accept your sword on behalf of my son, Aegon, and my good brother, Viserys.
Jaime stands up, resting his hand.
Yeah, so I feel like I did a good job with this one, because it illustrates Jaime's character. We have a good person trying to do the right thing and say, hey, I want to serve. And when he says, nah, not here, he's dejected and says, yeah, I may have failed here, but I'm not going to give up. And he, at the end of the scene, he's rewarded for his faithfulness by Elia. And one of the things I decided to do with this was you could easily have had Elia and the Mountain get together. I was like, nope, I am not doing that. And so I was like, nope, they're just going to be part of the king. He's just going to be part of the Kingsguard. We're not going to do it. So now we kind of get into, now that that's kind of done, we're getting into the where I'm just like, I am just going to transfer away for a brief time because there's nothing to do. Yeah, that's I'm needless to say, this is one of the ones where I'm like, I might have screwed up a little bit on this one. But anyway, let's keep going.
On his sword, at long last, a cause worth fighting for. Robert and Cersei's marriage repeatedly deteriorates. Even though Lyanna rejected him, Robert's drinking intensifies, and though he is faithful to Cersei, she always looks at him with suspicion. Tywin attempts to keep things civil, but his attempts are unsuccessful. They still have a young son, Tythos, true-born with black hair and blue eyes. Soon after, a black-haired girl named Cassana. Robert dotes on the children, especially Tythos, but Cersei favors Cassana. Years pass, and Gregor remains as the protector of Elia and the children, along with Sandor and Jaime. The three rapidly form something of a brotherhood, though the two Clegane brothers often joke about Jaime being short. Jaime responds by joking that his brother Tyrion might be a dwarf, but he had a bigger manhood than either of them. They all laugh and go back to watching the Targaryens. Jaime watches Jaehaerys, or Jay, and...
I probably could have written that as an actual conversation. But kind of I did want to have that joke where they're kind of ribbing each other. I thought that would be really, really funny. And I probably could have. It would be really interesting to do it. It's actually kind of a little bit of a reference to a fan fiction that I actually kind of liked called The Lost Emperor. That was actually fairly high quality. It was very, very, very smutty, but that's a 3 for you, where Tyrion actually flops his dick out on a table as a bet, saying that his manhood's bigger than the innkeeper's, and then a whore says, "Yeah, you get it bigger." And so I definitely want to put that in a theory sometime because I think it's freaking hilarious. It would be really funny. But yeah, in this kind of, I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to the John X. Rainey's theory, which, yes, Targaryens are gross. It's just kind of like, let's just kind of go with it, really.
Rainey specifically, though the girl is a bit older than her half-brother, 14 to his 11. She's always around him. They often have Balerion or Black Tomcat running around them. He can see traces of him and Cersei in the two of them, but they're Targaryens, so it's different. Still, he brings his findings to their mothers. To his relief, they aren't opposed to the two interested in each other.
I put it that was meant to be funny, both funny and a little bit of a justification, where it's like, yeah, they're Targaryens, so they're different. And it's like, yeah, I think it's kind of clear that one might argue that the Westermark effect seemingly doesn't exist in Westeros, because, oh my gosh, there's a lot of siblings in Westeros that grow up with each other that end up having sex and liking it. Examples are Balon and Alyssa Targaryen, where it's like George just like goes ham on just the fact that this lady is so horny, and like they're both horny people that have sex all the time. It's really funny. Jaime and Cersei, obviously. Then you have Jaehaerys and Shera, which may or may not have been love, but it seemed as though they were in love. And then you have Daemon and Rhaenyra, which of course is pretty gross considering how much older that he is. His niece. Just the fact that it's his niece is disgusting. And he's a groomer too, which is kind of gross, which is also very gross. So, yeah.
I like the idea of them being together. Viserys has always been promised to Arianna, though he isn't too happy about it.
Shallow little shit that he is.
Jaime bites his tongue rather than saying anything stupid. He's fairly certain based on lineage that Arianna will grow into herself, but he doesn't comment. So if she trips him up in the garden, just find somewhere else to be.
Sir Jaime.
Lyanna laughs and kicks her feet. Jaime chuckles and goes back to his duties. Jaehaerys and Rhaenys are off in a separate part of the garden from the other.
Yeah, with this one, it was. Let me think. Sorry, I periodically lose my train of thought. Let's keep going. So, with that one, it was just an establishment of. I just kind of wanted to have an in-joke about Arianna kind of being a little bit on the pudgy side before she became a supermodel. It's kind of funny that George decided to do that, where she kind of like until she was like 14 or so, she was kind of pudgy, and then she grew into herself and became a supermodel. And it's like, George, you're giving me way too much ammunition here. And Viserys would definitely be an incredibly shallow asshole, even if he's given something of a good upbringing. He's still going to be like really shallow and think, nah, I don't want to. So.
Children sitting on a bench.
So, Jay, what are you going to be when we take back King's Landing?
Well, I was thinking that I'd be part of Aegon's Kingsguard. I don't know about being in the small council. Definitely not hand, since Viserys is going to be his hand.
You can't be in the King's Guard. How are you supposed to marry me if you're a King's Guard?
Jaehaerys sputters with laughter. Rhaenys gives him an imperious look.
What?
It's just your girl.
Thank you for that astute observation, Jay. Now, here's another. I'm a princess, and princesses get what they want, and I want you to be my husband when you're old enough.
Jaehaerys gives her a look, then runs off.
You can't run forever, Jay.
Yes, I can.
Tytho's 16th name day is celebrated with an announcement of his betrothal to Sansa Stark. While Cassandra is engaged to Willis Tyrell, all of the major houses united in one family. Robert laughs and jests with Mace Tyrell.
Yeah, so at this one, I just wanted to have a little bit of a cute moment where she's like, I want to marry you. That's going to happen, and you can't stop it. And I kind of just love kind of moments like that. I just think it's funny. Any.
The matches him dish for dish and flagon for flagon. Ned Stark and Stannis chat about the state of the realm. Tythos and Sansa both seem to like each other, while Cassandra is only somewhat interested in Willis. Down south, the triple wedding to Viserys to Arianna, Aegon to Daenerys, and Jaehaerys to Rhaenys takes place in a secluded spot, with the Clegane brothers and Jaime as witnesses, along with their mothers and Martell brothers. Out of the two couples, Jaehaerys and Rhaenys seemed most happy, or at least telling the most jokes.
I told you you'd be mine one day, Jay.
You did, yes.
You excited for tonight?
Well, why? Rhaenys leans over and whispers in his ear. Jaehaerys blushes, then takes her hand. Viserys just sits solemnly as his wife tries to engage him, but his eyes are intent on the future. At the close of the small dinner, the couples walk off, though Jaehaerys and Rhaenys decide to spend the night in a secluded garden while Viserys and his bride go to traditional rooms. The next morning, Rhaenys brags about having taken Jaehaerys for a long ride, causing Daenerys and Aegon to laugh while Viserys just rolls his eyes. And days later, the news comes that Doran has hired.
Yeah, so that was actually a little bit of a reference to Alyssa Targaryen, where she said about her brother, I mounted him and took him for a ride. I need to do the same again. I love to ride. And it's just like, George, dude. You can't just keep throwing this at us. Here kind of comes the climax, and I'm like, yeah, I fudged this a little bit. I tried to justify it, but yeah, this is one of the weaker endings. I'm not proud.
A sellsword army, including the Golden Company, and they've pledged their support along with 20,000 Dornish spears. Along with them, they've spoken with the Greyjoys and coordinated a strike in the north to draw them away. Jaime has already begun gathering support for them in the Westerlands, among men who may fear Tywin but have no loyalty to him. Gregor and Sandor remain in Dorne, but when Jaime leaves, implications that the legendary Clegane brothers fight alongside them as their champions, more houses come to them. Soon enough, the Westerlands rises up in rebellion as the Greyjoys attack the Riverlands in the north. Jon Arryn sends out the Knights of the Vale to reinforce the Riverlands, while Ned combats the Ironborn raiding its coastline. During the chaos, the Dornish and their sellswords attack the Reach and Stormlands. Aegon and Viserys ride at the head of the army, with Jaehaerys and Rhaenys alongside them. Many houses in the Reach, such as the Parleys and other former loyalists, rise up. Same with several houses in the Crownlands. The realm plunges into civil war for the first time in 15 years. Gregor and Sandor ride at the front as of a host of rebel Westermen toward Highgarden, as Mace Tyrell prepares for a siege, while Aegon leads the Dornish and Reachmen on Storm's End. Viserys and Aegon discuss a few plans, but they're all very conventional, such as starving out the garrison or attempting to assault the impregnable fortress. Jaehaerys and Rhaenys opt for a more daring strategy, as is usual with their personalities. They suggest waiting until nighttime and take a small force into a small area under the castle, specifically the one they heard the Onion Knight Davos Seaworth had used to supply the castle during the siege. While it's dangerous, Viserys agrees to let them go. Just don't get yourselves killed, you two. Arianna finds her antics amusing, even if I don't.
Glad you're thinking of your wife's happiness, Uncle.
She's one of the few things that make me smile, so yes. Jaehaerys and Rhaenys assemble their strike force.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like unless he's kind of raised to have a sense of humor, I think Viserys actually works as a really humorless straight man type character. Kind of similar to Tywin in a way. He's at least not insane, but I think that he would still be very serious, very duty bound. And he would just be a singularly humorless person. Though I actually I really liked writing him as that in the Rhaegar hatching dragons theory, where he's this he's a good man, but he's really stiff, and is frustrated by his very unserious sister, niece, and nephew.
Sail through Shipbreaker Bay to the Undergate. Once they have broken it open, Dornish move into the fortress. Renly is quickly captured and placed in a cell, while a raven is sent with a challenge to Tywin and Robert to meet them in the field. Angrily, Robert picks up his hammer from where it's been resting since the Greyjoy rebellion and motions to Tythos.
Come on, son. We're going to war.
However, with the stormlines taken by the Targaryens, the Westerlands in rebellion, and the reach split between the Tyrells and the Tarleys, he has to go north and abandon the capital. Within a few days, they've arrived in the north, where Ned has just finished hurling the Ironborn back into the sea at White Knife. The houses in the Riverlands have already come north through the Twins, along with the Valen, and a few Crownlander, Stormland, Westland, and Reach forces that have managed to escape from Highgarden. Robert, Tywin, Ned, and Stannis assembled most of their troops at Mount Caelan to meet the Targaryens, but the rebel troops are ill-equipped to get through the Neck due to the Crannogmen and the Northern Raiders.
At the moment, we can control everything except the Vale in the north. The Bloody Gates bar our way to the Eyrie, while the Neck is barring our path to Winterfell. Both were places that require dragons to take during Aegon's conquest. Perhaps we should simply hold them up in the north. We've taken one half of the Twins, and without the Reach's food, they'll face issues soon. What if we could turn Lord Stark to our side? Robert's best friend? I doubt it. My uncle is one of the most honorable men in the Seven Kingdoms, and he's loyal to the family. He went to war for it in Robert's rebellion. No, there's another option. We were able to commandeer the Royal Fleet, and we have the Redwing and Lancer fleets. I say we use those ships to get around the Neck and envelop the north from both sides.
I think Jay has a point.
Sister, we can't rely on the goodwill of our enemy. Of the options, Viserys has presented two good ones. However, I think that there's a way that we can resolve this.
How?
Robert Baratheon won't come south to face us, not with the Neck barring our way. However, he's not good behind a wall. He does well when he's on the offensive, so we give him that opportunity against an opponent worthy of him. So Gregor, will you stand as the crown's champion? Gladly, Your Grace.
The next day, the challenge is sent.
Yeah, so this is kind of like, I did want to at least have Gregor have the honor of having the climax. And I do like having discussions of tactics in there, even if the tactics don't come. I like having the two different sides kind of argue things out.
By Viserys declaring himself as hand of the king to Aegon VI, as Robert and Ned look down at the silver-haired prince.
So, this giant against me. Well, I can't imagine that I'd look too good if I said no. Robert, this is madness. We have the terrain. We can wait. And have more people just starve under this siege? No, Ned. I'm willing to bet one last time. Besides, I've always wondered if I could beat the Great Dog.
Ned tries to argue Robert out of it, but the king is determined to take this challenge. The next morning, both the Targaryen and Baratheon forces watch as the leaders of both sides enter Mount Caelan to watch the battle of Robert Baratheon and Gregor Clegane in the courtyard. On one side of the wall are the Targaryens, Aegon, Viserys, Rhaenys, Jaehaerys, with their Dornish allies and Jaime Lannister. On the other is Ned, Stannis, Tywin, Tythos, and Cersei. Both combatants circle each other, Robert with his hammer in one hand and a shield with a crowned stag emblazoned across it to match the antlered helm on his head, while Gregor holds a gigantic greatsword in one hand and a large shield with the three black dogs of his house strapped to his arm.
The fight shall be to the death. The victor shall be king of the Seven Kingdoms.
Robert and Gregor charge like a pair of titans, the demon of the trident and the mountain that rides slam into each other. Robert's hammer smashes into Gregor's shield, breaking it apart, leaving nothing but broken kindling. Not wanting to have his arm entangled, Gregor flicks off the shield, then takes his greatsword in both hands and begins battering Robert's shield. Grunting, Robert deflects the attacks, but after several hits, the stag is broken apart, forcing Robert to discard it. Now that the two champions have discarded their shields, the fight turns even more savage. The mountain's sword slams into Robert's hammer haft, sending a loud ringing through the fortress. Over and over, Robert swings his hammer, but Gregor dodges backward, then attempts to counterattack. Finally, Robert swings his hammer just a little too far, giving Gregor an opening. With a growl, Gregor leaps forward and slams his fist into Robert's head, causing him to stumble. Now that he has his opponent off balance, Gregor presses the attack and starts slamming his sword into Robert's helmet, breaking off one of the antlers. Grunting, Robert tries to deflect the attacks, but Gregor's savagery takes over. Bellowing, the mountain manages to tackle the king and put him to the ground.
Yield. I don't want to kill a foe like you.
Robert grunts and tries to wrestle Gregor off him, but the mountain holds firm and places a dagger against the king's throat.
Fine. I yield.
A palpable relief fills the courtyard. Due to the agreement, Robert abdicates and leaves for the Free Cities along with Stannis. Ned remains as Lord of Winterfell, while Tywin is exiled in pain of death should he return. Aegon and Daenerys are crowned king and queen of the Seven Kingdoms, with Viserys formally declared as hand of the king to his nephew. Jay and Rhaenys take up residence on Dragonstone, though Jaehaerys often goes north to visit his uncle and his mother in Winterfell.
Yeah, so but that one I was trying to get illustrate the fight of two giants coming together, and I definitely took advantage of the fact that this is not Prime Robert. Prime Robert probably would beat Gregor. This is slightly fat Robert, and yeah, he's still strong, but he's kind of out of shape. And Gregor has at least been practicing. Those were kind of the main things that I wanted to illustrate there, because not often do you have a clash of characters of that nature. And so that kind of concludes things. Overall, this is kind of one of the ones where I'm like, if I had it over again, I'd do a lot of things differently. I like kind of how certain things turned out. I feel like it's kind of a grab bag of things because I was like, I don't know what to do with this. They're kind of in a holding pattern, and they're kind of locked in one location. They could have gone on some journeys to Essos, maybe gather more cell swords. I think that probably would have helped a lot. But anyway, that's all we have. I'll upload this, and we'll call it good. Bye.